All right. Well, Halitics just barely got us on screen as the music wound down, and always delayed to welcome the left-handed leftist podcaster Carlos Childs. How you doing, Carlos?
Thank you. How? Always glad to be here. Doing good in this, what is this? This United Corporations of America.
It really is, and I mean I'll show the thumbnail I did. It's a little busy, but it kind of explains where I was going today. But before we get to that, I just want to give you major props for the interview you did with Michaela Wilkes, former congressional candidate challenging Steny Hoyer. And I remember we endorsed her. I thought she was great, and you did I want to say both of you. I was going to say you personally, but both of you were really good. It's really worth listening to, watching. I told you one thing that surprised me about it, which was that it didn't surprise me, but I was interested that Michaela did not support Kamala for president, which was interesting because, President Obama had said that some of the black men were not feeling Assista as president. I don't think that's what he said, but I'm just being kind of a jerk here. But she wasn't either. And I don't know, that the whole lesser of two evil argument just didn't work. And talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, no, Michaela actually was very much against voting for Kamala Harris and was a Jill Stein supporter. I believe she was a Jill Stein supporter. She may have been for the PSL candidate, but no,
De La Cruz.
Yep. Claudia De La Cruz, yes, but no. Michaela's view of it was that, for herself as a black woman, she's not just here for representation, and she even says that she wanted to support Kamala Harris, but she couldn't support someone who was not standing up to stop the genocide going on. She wasn't gonna support someone who was just backing corporations. You need to come with policy. It can't just be representation and no policy side of it. And she also is talked a lot about withholding our vote from the Democratic Party until we get concessions to actually earn our vote, and not just being one of those groups that say, hey, we just vote for you blue no matter who.
Yeah, I definitely urge folks, check out that podcast that Carlos did at the Left-Handed Leftist. Really good stuff with Michaela. And a couple of things that struck me. Again, I mentioned that, we know how you and I voted, but I didn't know how Michaela had. She sounded a lot like me. I mean, a lot of the things she was saying about Harris were the same as mine. I've said, I wanted to vote for Harris, not so much because I like Kamala Harris at all, but because I didn't want Donald Trump to be president. And if she had just thrown me a little bone, and I think that was exactly what Michaela was saying, just say you're against this genocide, just say you'll do something about it, and we'll overlook all the other things you've done that we don't like. And certainly on, for example, criminal justice issues, which I know are dear to Michaela's heart, Harris had been awful. Right. I mean, she said she told putting aside even her record as a top cop in California and all that, she said to Guatemalans, don't come here. Remember, say, I know your life sucks. Don't bother. Don't. Yeah. So we would have, I don't know about, maybe that's not how she viewed it, Michaela, but even all of that, as awful as it was, it wrenched my stomach. I would have voted for her if she had just said something about stopping Israel, and she couldn't do it. Now she has. She did tell Angela Rye, and she really went after a tough, hard-hitting, challenge when she went on with Angela. Why not Charlemagne? She had a problem with Charlemagne. Oh, did you read about how she had a problem with Charlemagne?
Oh yeah, she didn't like that. She felt that Charlemagne was challenging her and not combating Trump enough. And that's always the Democratic establishment stance. Is every time you talk about a Democrat being bad, you're supporting Trump or you're helping Trump. It's okay, so are you all just immune from criticism, or are you just scared that if we point out your criticism that you have nothing to combat it with? You have none of your own talking points to say, actually, let me take to account what you're saying and actually transfer that into a course correction. And that's one thing Michaela kept talking about too, is that we need dissent within the Democratic Party and outside of the Democratic Party, because the problem is with the Democratic Party is they will label you misogynistic for not supporting Harris or racist or things like that. And it's that, yes, those things did play a factor into Kamala Harris not winning, but the majority of it was because she was not delivering for people on policy.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're going to play the race card, if you're going to play the gender card, it seems to me you have to get your ducks in a row first. You have to say, hey, look, this is why I'm a better candidate.
Yeah.
You know, it's not enough to say, well, the other guy's really bad and so am I. That's what Hillary said, right? Over and over. You know, it's because I'm a woman, the hardest, highest, whatever ceiling, glass ceiling. But make us like you first, or at least make yourself appear likable. And she couldn't do that. And I think there was a lot of similarities with Harris as well. I think Kamala Harris made a huge mistake, by the way, even after the election, having her friendly interview with Angela Rye. Charlemagne was not unfriendly. Charlemagne asked her one question, which apparently she didn't like, as she said in her book. He said, hey, some folks feel when we hear you that you're too scripted, that you're not giving us who you really are. And she noted in her book, she said, well, I just retorted, I'm not scripted, I'm disciplined. And see, to me, that's such a missed opportunity where you could say, you know, that's fair. And I'll be honest with you, I want to win this thing. It's really important to me, but I feel like it's essential for the American public. I'm a little bit nervous about making a mistake. But I really do need to be more off the cuff and present myself. She could have said that. People would have loved that answer. It would have felt genuine. But instead, well, I'm just being disciplined, which is the same as being scripted, right? Because your discipline means you're following your script.
Yeah,
I think she would have
the script. She's bad at reciting her lines.
She's not a good actress, right? Ronald Reagan was a better actor, and he wasn't a great actor, but he was, he was from Hollywood. And but
I do want to say this though. That criticism wouldn't have come to Bernie. Bernie Sanders got that same criticism of like, we don't know who you are. You don't talk about yourself. There's no personality to you. But he could always say, it's not about me. It's about my policy. And we'll go back to that. Kamala Harris didn't have the policy to go back to, but then she doesn't have the personality, charisma side that like Obama or even like a Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg may have. So now she's stuck in that she has none of the kind of high points that people look for in a president. So you get this, you seem robotic and overly scripted or disciplined.
Well, I also would say, even compared to some of the other politicians you mentioned, she had less policy. Obama did run on policy. He didn't always push the policies that he ran on, but he did have a policy prescription. She really didn't. And I think going with Angela Rye for that interview, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'll play some of it in a little bit. I think was, again, a mistake because I think most people perceive Angela Rye as a cheerleader for Harris and as someone who's going to ask her the exact questions that Harris wants. And that means we're going to discount anything that's said anyway. But if she had gone on with Charlemagne, still relatively friendly, I think Charlemagne was clear he wanted Harris to win, but he was also doing his job. And you got to do your job. I mean, if not, no one's going to. Angela Rye got so much shade after that interview with Jill Stein and Butch Ware, and deservedly so.
He deserved it.
You got to be willing to go out there a little bit of your comfort zone. Harris's failure to do that, I think, does speak something about her that isn't great.
No, you're right. I mean, well, Angela Rye, to me, I never saw her as a journalist. I see her as like a Democratic Party operative. Like she is made for and sponsored by the party. Charlemagne, at least I give him credit, coming out of like the Wendy Williams camp of like journalism. So like he's used to actually being a journalist and going back and forth with people. But honestly, I don't think Kamala Harris doing this is hurting her. I think she would do worse if she went on with people like Charlemagne and other actual journalists, because I think she'll go back into not knowing how to answer questions, and it'll make her look worse. I think she goes on these softball places because she is in her promote my book phase. I think it's one thing that's the worst part about this whole thing is her kind of hinting at possibly running again in 2028 for president. I think that's the worst decision that she can make. I think she should just retire out. Do what Hillary Clinton has been doing. Go on speeches and consulting and just make you a whole bunch of money and just never talk about. Actually, no, don't be like Hillary Clinton, because she still endorses people and talks about politics. Just don't talk about politics ever again. Just go about your private life.
Well, what you said, Carlos, when you said that she, meaning Harris, is better off with an Angela Rye in an interview than with a Charlemagne, who, again, Charlemagne's not like a hard-hitting, aggressive-styled interviewer, but he is, to a significant degree, responding to the concerns of his audience and what they want to hear. If she can't handle a Charlemagne, then that tells me this, as you just said, her idea of running for president is incredibly misguided and will end in utter failure, as her previous efforts have.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's been funny. Going back and forth with people as the clips of the podcast come out on social media from my conversation with Michaela, is that people like defending her whenever we're talking about withholding our vote or support for Kamala Harris. They all say like, or one person said she didn't run for president. She ran for the Democratic nomination. Like, for president, like she didn't do a good job when she ran for president in 2020. She didn't gain support. And for the senator of California, polling lower than Andrew Yang in your own state, that shows you don't have a base of support. And the only way, and somebody said it, one of my friends said it a while ago, that Joe Biden dropping out when he did was the best thing for Kamala Harris, because she had no chance of ever winning a Democratic primary for president.
Right. Well, also, I agree with that. I also would say this: her main excuse in her book for not beating Trump was time. Everything that happened that didn't work out for her, she said, well, I didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough time to convince more black men to support me. I didn't have enough time to explain my position on the border. But the response that I agreed with, I saw in Current Affairs, is actually you had too much time. If the election had been 3 weeks after you were anointed, after you were chosen, even over the wishes apparently of both of the two elder statespeople in the party, Obama and Pelosi, even though you were anointed over their objections, you had a lot of popularity when you first ran. You were ahead, and you fumbled it all away. So therefore, it wasn't you didn't have enough time. The more people got to know you, the less they wanted to vote for you.
You're right. She should have, honestly, her whole book, whatever, 160 something days, it should have been I should have just had 3 days. You should have just given her the weekend and let her win, because you're right. The more she actually talks in front of people, the more people realize there's nothing there. It's just blank. And it even goes back to when she first and also when she says that she didn't have enough time, she became the nominee when any other nominee or Democratic nominee would have became the nominee. So is her saying that she should have been allowed to run in the primary in 2024? Because then it would have gotten worse. It would have been people hearing way too much of you, and then you just continue to lose support. And then even to me, I think one person who should be angry about the book totally is what's his name? Wow, even I was about to call him Tim Kaine. Who was her?
Walz. Tim Walz.
Yeah, Walz. He should be mad, because basically this is her being like, I chose you because I thought that you would not dim my light and that you were just boring enough. And honestly, I didn't want you in the first place.
Yeah, it's an issue for sure. All right, we got Ari on the line. Hey, Ari, how you doing today?
Doing okay. Happy Friday, guys.
What's up? What's up? Happy Friday.
Hey, what's up? Two of my favorite political analysts.
Ooh, thank you.
Can't complain.
You got to get out more.
Right.
Here's something you guys might appreciate. It might be a little bit of constructive criticism. You guys are. I want to tell you how it looks from, that's an observer, right? I don't know if you guys can see yourselves, but you're like in a very advanced level of political analysis that the average consumer, the average citizen, let's say, can probably not relate easily to, because you guys know what's going on. You're watching everything. But what I'm proposing, or what I'm considering here, is what if the average citizen, the voter, knows how these political candidates, the elected officials, are voting? Like you're talking about Kamala Harris, you're talking about this other person. The average person probably has very little clue. Some do, young students who like political science, or they're very savvy. But the average citizen doesn't know what Kamala Harris stood on certain issues, or another political. I'm just using her as an example. So where is it that there's a platform where the average citizen can go and say, oh, she voted this on Gaza, or genocide, or, death penalty, or whatever? Where is this platform that people can go to, if there is one? I know there's probably some out there, but I don't know where they are right now. And what do you think about this idea of providing the average citizen this place where you can go to and say, oh, she voted this on immigration, or he voted this way on, whatever it is, whatever the abortion or whatever, gay rights or LGBT. So I used to get a newsletter years ago. I think it might have been ADL, before I knew what they were very much about. And they told you exactly who voted what. You could see this little bullet, hundreds of representatives. And that's really all I had today. A little bit of constructive criticism, because you guys know what you're talking about. But I really think the average listener, unless they watch you quite a bit, really has no clue, because they're just not watching. They don't have the patience. But something like a platform that people can look at quickly and glean through and say, oh, I know what they're talking about, Harris or this representative or senator. But what do you think about
thanks so much for that, Ari. I cannot dispute what he's saying. I mean, we have an hour. I have an hour a day. You have less because you only do your left-handed podcast once a week. So, we assume certain knowledge, and viewers, listeners, maybe we assume too much on occasion. And there's just, there's a limited amount of what we can present. But I think sometimes, we are probably a little, at least I am. I don't know about you, Carlos. I feel like I learned from you. I don't, but again, I'm probably like you, more savvy or more knowledgeable than a lot of folks.
No, you're right. Definitely. And that's definitely something we need to, that I especially got to work on too, is like bringing some of those like bullet point facts about people. I will say one thing is that a lot of organizations that advocate for certain for their like niche things put out these kind of like a summary of like who the candidates are and stuff like that. The problem is they don't really do it after the election is over. They really do it during the primaries or general. I will say, for people who want to know about Kamala Harris on Gaza, go look at track APAC. Go look at places like CASA National. Go look at different advocacy orgs, and normally just like search up advocacy org voting record of blank candidate or person, and normally that pops up of like how they vote. And I'll just say real quick, when it comes to the genocide, Kamala Harris was said multiple times that she would not withhold weapons going to Israel. On immigration, she was against the border wall when she ran in 2020. She called it xenophobic and all that. And then come 2024, she was supporting the quote unquote bipartisan immigration bill that was supported by the Republicans that did not do anything really as far as like being pro DACA, pro people coming over. It was expanding the border wall and increasing ICE and things like that too. Yeah,
that's all. Yeah, exactly as I understand it as well. And the thing about Harris's positions is they're hard to find. I mean, she was, some politicians, it's pretty easy to know where they stand on issues. They're very clear. Like Bernie, for example, Harris, not so much. And that was a big problem for her. People have said to me, you talk too much about her. She's yesterday's news. She's done. And I don't even think I talk very much about Kamala Harris. She's in the news now because of the interview with Angela Rye. She kind of backtracked on something. Carlos, I think is relevant. Here's why. A, as you mentioned, she's running for president again. It certainly appears that she is. She hasn't dissuaded talk. And at least according to one poll, I believe she's considered a front runner for that. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is we have to learn from that failure. And it seems to me the party itself and its voters have completely failed to learn the lessons of Kamala Harris, because the other candidates who are close to the top of the list are very similar to her in relevant ways, like Gavin Newsom, people who really aren't, will not articulate positions, remember how he hemmed and hawed. Oh, it's really interesting that you're asking me about AIPAC when that was a major reason she lost the election. Remember I don't really think about AIPAC. I don't really, it's not on my radar. So why are you asking? So there's him, and then there's Buttigieg, who's a lot similar in a lot of ways in terms of, again, kind of a policy-free candidate.
Yeah.
So I think, it is important to look at what happened to Kamala Harris and why she lost.
No, definitely. And the one part I hate too is when you have a lot of people who come on and say that, why are people protesting Kamala Harris at her book speaking things, and why are people still talking about her? She's a private citizen, all that. It's like, yes, she's a private citizen. One, she had power, so let's talk about how she didn't use that power effectively. But then on the other side of it is, no one asked her to go around the country with this book tour. Like you put yourself back out in the public and want to be in front of people, you're going to get criticized.
All right, let's talk about somebody who actually has power, he will soon have a lot of power. He's in office. He won. Zohran Mamdani. We have not talked since the election, which was now over 2 weeks, right? Now it's been over 2 weeks because we missed. Did we miss it? I can't remember now if we spoke. No, I think because last week we weren't on, and then, So were you excited? I mean, how did you react to when you heard he won?
I was happy he won. It's good he won. It's nice that he won. I think it's good. I think like some other leftist people are a little. We want to see how this turns out and what actually happens. And is he going to be the Zohran from the primary, or is he going to be more of the Zohran from the general election? Is he going to be the more shifting to the center? Still, I will say this, still to the left, but he's more of a Elizabeth Warren type of left, or is he going to revert back to the Bernie Sanders style of left as well? But then also, what I'm mostly curious is to see how does the other Democratic Party members treat him as far as the governor, Kathy Hochul, because one thing she was even saying that she's not really in favor of providing more funding for the free buses for New York City.
Yeah, she's going to have to really think long and hard about what's going to make it more likely that she'll win that re-election campaign against Stefanik. And I think if she wants to win it, she better tack hard left, because what many people have taken, and I think Charlemagne made this point about Harris's loss, is if you can't get the real thing, if you're going to get a pale imitation of the real thing, which Harris was kind of shadowing, I think, Trump, right? I mean, you said it. She was going to build the wall. Yeah. She was not going to stop the killing of Palestinians. So Charlemagne's like, hey, if you either get the fake thing or the real thing, people are going to go for the real thing, which was Trump. And so that's the same issue with Zohran too. Are they with Hochul? Is she going to embrace real leftism, or is she going to sort of tack right? If she does, I think she loses to Stefanik, which would be terrible, because Stefanik's terrible.
See, now I don't know if I think she'll lose to Stefanik or not, which is a Republican House Republican who's running for governor of New York. I think she could lose to her primary challenge. What's her name? The Lolita James.
Letitia, is Letitia James running? Now she's got some legal trouble because of some bogus claim about some house where she actually apparently. No one thinks she did anything wrong. It's just you have to come up with some fake charge against her if you want to be in Trump's good graces. But because she charged him with various real estate shenanigans, which he was guilty. Now, you think Letitia James could beat Hochul?
I don't think she. I think that it depends. I think what happens in New York City between now and the now and the primary next year, I think it will be very clear. I think that Hochul could face a whole bunch of opposition from the left, because the left is angry. The left is angry in New York, especially, about how no Democrats came out, really, no establishment Democrats came out supporting Zorhan. You had Hakeem Jeffries, who endorsed like a week before the election. Chuck Schumer never endorsed. It didn't even say who he voted for. You have all these other New York elected officials who just weren't supporting. You have, what's her name? Kirsten Gillibrand, who went on this like xenophobic, anti-Muslim kind of rant against him. So yeah, I think it's a lot of people who could be criticized, and that's one thing too. How that a lot of people who are telling AOC that she should run against Chuck Schumer. I'm surprised that they haven't had that same feeling about her running against Gillibrand as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. But Gillibrand's not up in 26, right? She's up in 28. So. The next.
No. She's, I think, even up further than that. I think she's up. She may be up
30.
Even, in 30. Where what's his name? Chuck Schumer. He's up in 28. See,
20. Chuck Schumer's up in 26. Chuck Schumer's next year. I'm pretty sure.
No. I'll look it up while we're talking. But go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. We'll look it up because I was about to, but I'll let you do it. I think Kathy Hochul's a little more popular in New York than Schumer is. I think she probably survives. I think she was very smart, very canny to endorse Mom Donnie, and I think she'll figure out ways to not look too centrist, at least to the more progressive folks in the city. Unless there's a real progressive challenger, I think she probably does survive. Maybe someone like a Zephyr Teachout or Nixon, the Sex and the City actress. I think it's Cynthia Nixon who ran against her. But even so, I don't think Hochul's likely to lose in the primaries to one of them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The issue of Mom Donnie. So both of us have concern. Now, I did a program after the election when the shul, the synagogue, Magen David or Magen David or whatever it's called in Brooklyn was spray painted with swastikas. And I said, I thought Mom Donnie went too far in condemning. I mean, it was obviously bad. You don't want to paint swastikas. But I just said the outrage seems to me misplaced because they actually at the synagogue, they painted over the symbol of hate and genocide with another symbol of hate and genocide, an Israeli flag. So I'm not, I think Mom Donnie could have been a little less empathic in this case, given how little empathy the victims seem to have. This is disgusting and heartbreaking act. It has no place in our beautiful city. I will stand steadfast with our Jewish neighbors. And I get why you say it. I mean, he doesn't want to make any enemies. But what has come out is that now we see the picture of the spray painter here, the Dude Dissidents Bros. I don't know if you watch that program much with Russell and Keaton. They claim that they basically insist that this is proof that it was a Hasid, an Orthodox Jew. Look at that big top hat. He must have been, because that is the spray painter. The video was released. I'm not going to go that far. We don't know who it is. There's somebody who's just clearly disguising themselves. It could be anybody in all black. There's no distinguishing marks. But we don't know that it's a Muslim. We don't know that this is somebody who's even acting out of anti-Semitism either, Carlos.
Yeah, this could be a false flag. This could be someone there who wants to create a disturbance of, oh my gosh, this is happening. It could be real. It could be fake. I don't know. I just, like to me, what Zohan said, all right, cool. It's fine what he said. I don't have a problem with what he said. I think that there also needs to be a conversation about how it's hard to have empathy for a lot of people. It's hard to have empathy when you look at how the Zionists are also talking about Muslim people and how in the genocide going on. And it's like, if you don't have empathy for Palestinians, it's hard to really see how you expect people to have empathy for you as well.
I got nothing. Mic drop moment right there. Exactly correct. And I will add on a little bit. it's beyond their not having empathy. They're supporting the actual eradication of that group of people.
Yeah.
So that's why, also, we don't know it was anti-Semitism. And he said this is a heartbreaking act of anti-Semitism. I thought the Do Dissents bros were correct when they said it would have been enough to just say, I support finding the perpetrator and prosecuting them for this crime. That would have been sufficient in my view, because again, we don't know it's anti-Semitism. And as you said, a false flag, that could well be an Orthodox Jew, a Hasidic, or just anybody who wants to make Mamdani look bad by making look at the anti-Semitism that all comes out of the woodwork as soon as we elect a Muslim, ignoring the fact that they've been claiming for decades now how the Jews are totally unsafe in New York City and conflating every single criticism of Israel, no matter how mild, with cause for another Holocaust. So, I can't be supportive.
It'd be weird. It'd be odd for a Muslim person to spray paint a Nazi symbol when the Nazis didn't like Muslim or brown people either. So,
or I could even understand, to be perfectly honest, a Muslim who's so upset, so totally heartbroken at what's being done to their people that they're like, yeah, hey, enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the Nazis are really bad, but they're going after the enemy of my enemy, and I want to survive. It's like some Irish were sympathetic to the Nazis during World War II because England had been so oppressive for so many centuries and killed many Irish people, stolen their land, made them into serfs. So they were understandably pro-German.
Yeah.
But the Brits weren't even as bad to the Irish. They were bad. They starved them. They took their potato. They took every, plant they could that you could eat out of the country during the potato famine. It was really, really bad. It doesn't quite even rise to my way of thinking to what Israel's doing, because it wasn't a deliberate starvation. It was an environmental catastrophe. The potatoes died, and the English said, too bad. Yeah. Suck it. It sucks to be you. You're going to die. But they didn't actually cause the famine.
We're just bombing and burning down everything. Yeah, this is what we're looking at here is literally it's a destruction of a group of people, of an ethnic and religious group of people, and it's disgusting, abhorrent, and as we see, even this whole ceasefire isn't a real thing. At this point, it's hard to imagine anything getting better, just because I don't even see a pathway to things getting better at all.
And that's why even folks who say, well, you've got to vote for the lesser of evils, that's why you had to vote for Kamala. I don't know. Was she the lesser of evil? You made that point too. Would things be less bad in Gaza? I've heard folks like, again, Aaron, talking about other podcasters, Aaron Monte and Katie Halper, say, well, we don't know. The revolutionary Jen Perlman, revolutionary change, we don't know whether things would have been better. Why would we believe things would be better? We don't know that.
Exactly. I mean, Harris wasn't saying that she would do anything. She said, I will not withhold weapons. She did not. And this whole thing of just I'm just going to condemn Netanyahu as a person and not act as if what he says is supported by not just the government and the politicians, also the majority of the people who live in the country as well. Like it is a system. It's a issue of Israel in itself. And I think when you have a country that was founded on the ethnic cleansing of another group of people, that is going to always be within the country. It's similar to how in the United States that was built on slavery and racism and ethnic cleansing of Native American people. We can't expect the country to fully get out of that because that's embedded in who the country is.
Well, I agree with you, although I would note we made more progress. It seems like Israel's regressing. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying we're not regressing now, but we've also had periods where I think, and we could argue this because I know some civil rights and African-American black activists don't agree, but I think there have been periods of time when things have gotten better for minorities and
definitely.
people of color, and the 60s would be a good example of that. 1960s. 240-242-5646 if you want to join me. And don't forget, click like, click subscribe, give a call as Ari did. Here's Lauren Boebert, MAGA royalty, I suppose, if you want to use that term for her. She joins House Democrats to sign discharge petition to force vote on releasing Epstein files that are going to be released. It doesn't look, this is bad for Trump. And I have two thoughts on this. I want to talk about the Epstein files, but also how we do see Republicans on occasion, even MAGA Republicans, join Democrats. I'm still waiting for AOC to say one nice thing about MTG. I don't think it's going to happen, but
never. I mean, she's even criticizing Marjorie Taylor Greene about how, the reason that she is coming out so strong against the Democratic Party is because Trump wouldn't support her for like her Georgia Senate run, which, I mean, if it's true, it's true. Cool. My thing is, AOC, that's what we want you to do. They don't support you for stuff, so you call out
and
the
who
party.
cares if that's what her reason? By the way, I don't even buy that. I don't think that's true. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, as far as I can tell, really believes in what she's doing. But maybe she wouldn't have done it if she had gotten what she wanted. But I made that same argument. I said, hey, they didn't support you. They took away you wanted to be the ranking member. They put a dead man in your place.
Yep.
And you didn't say, but what did you say? You said, okay, I won't challenge Democrats.
Yep.
You bent the knee. Taylor Greene's going at. So that makes, to me, Marjorie Taylor Greene look a lot better than AOC.
She has a backbone.
How badly is Trump hurt right now by this and the economy as well? And by people, the backlash against the treatment of immigrants.
Yeah, I think he's spiraling at this point, and he's not. Yeah, things are not going well for him. The whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, I'm not convinced much will come out of it, just because I think the rich and powerful people are not going to let that much come out about them. My skepticism will be stopped when I actually see what is going to be released from the petition. I even think I can see a vote happening. I don't know if that's going to it may pass, but then doesn't it also have to go to the Senate as well to pass?
I thought they've already released a lot of records. I don't know if there's been an actual law passed that they can release the records, and if there was, I think that could be, perhaps Trump could even veto it, but there have been new records, including we saw some emails from Epstein, talking about how Trump spent hours with one of the girls, because they were girls. He spent hours with them. It was clear they had a close relationship. And Trump is, Caroline Levitt saying, this just proves Trump is totally innocent, which obviously it proves just the opposite. I don't, spiraling is strong. His MAGA base is going to support him, but this is where the Democrats have these golden opportunities and they let them, slip right through their fingers, whether it was holding his feet to the fire on the, the
ACA subsidies.
The shutdown. Although this actually came out because the shutdown ended. Once the shutdown ended, they had to swear in. Johnson had to swear in Adelita Grijalva, she signed that petition to discharge. So that kind of worked out two different ways for Trump. He got the shutdown ended, but then he's going to have to deal with more release of the Epstein files. I think he's in bad. I think what the good thing about this is, the best thing, Carlos, is it's going to make it much harder, I believe, for him to stay in power past 28.
Really?
Well, I mean, his second term's over. You never thought he would anyway, right?
No,
you never
I think that, let me not say that. I think it is a low chance that Trump will be able to finagle stuff to where he'll stay in power past 2028. The only way I think it would happen is if the corporations and the wealthy people feel like they can still continue to be in power if he is kept in as the president or in the seat of power. I think that corporations and the wealthy are over top of Trump. If they are like, we want him to step down and we will continue to have this like fake democracy that we have in this country, they will have him step down and they will have someone else put in through the primary general election process that they want. And they're going to make sure that their interests stay always. So that's why I don't think America is as susceptible to a dictator in the way that we see some other countries have, where you can just like install a leader and then they change things so it benefits them. I think that our corporations and capitalism is so powerful over here that they are over top of the government.
I think that's a good point. I actually agree with that. And the reason I think this makes it harder for Trump to stay in power is because I don't think House Republicans and the Senate Republicans will feel much pressure to keep Trump in power, because the base will have turned against him or enough members of the base will have turned against him that they will no longer view him as some kind of a party, a Geppetto who's pulling their strings.
Yeah. And I think the donor class is going to say, no, this is going to tank the economy. This is not going to be good for us. No, you're not supporting it. You will give Trump his flowers and all that, and you will put in like a JD Vance or Trump Jr. or whoever the party feels. I honestly think the Republican Party is going to have the same problem that the Democratic Party has now, that they don't have a backbench. They don't have people waiting in the wings to be like, oh, okay, cool, we can see this person coming up. Because what are you going to go to JD Vance, who a lot of people don't really care for, or what, a Ted Cruz again, who really has no business running for anything anymore.
Yeah, Cruz has also lost a lot of, I think, juice as well because of his strong support for Israel. The younger Republicans really just have no interest in that. And also because he's Wall Street. They've become more populist as the Democrats have become more, I won't say exactly corporate, but certainly establishment, if not corporate. So we are seeing a lot of changes. By the way, I'm trying to figure out, Carlos, we were talking about when Schumer is up for re-election and when Gillibrand. I don't know. Did you figure it out? Because
for Chuck Schumer's 2028, I'm seeing the same thing for Gillibrand.
Yeah, there's something wrong here. That's why I'm confused. I think there's something wrong on the web, on the internets that has this wrong. I'm pretty sure Schumer is. I thought it was 26 for Schumer, but maybe I'm wrong.
Schumer's 28, and Gillibrand isn't until 2031. Gillibrand was elected or reelected the same time when Angela Alsobrooks was reelected. So last year. So Gillibrand's good up until 2031, and Schumer is up in 2028. So they both have some time. So I guess there's nothing, popping off for them, which also goes to the issue of when you look at the Democrats who voted in the Senate to reopen the government without getting any concessions out. When you have people who don't have to either worry about getting reelected at all because they're stepping down, or when it takes years until the vote for you is up, a lot of people do forget, and a lot of people are like, okay, well, that happened all that time ago. We're past it now. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I actually thought Schumer was up for re-election in 26 wrongly, in part because he did not vote to keep the government shut down. He did not vote to reopen the government. And I thought, well, that's because he's afraid of a primary challenge next year. And that could be used against him. But it turns out he won't even face a challenge next year. So he just basically left the other Dems out to dry when he said, you have to vote to end it. And I'm not going to.
And I think he is scared of a 2028 challenge, definitely. But I also think he's scared of more people continuing to call and actually pressuring some of these Senate Democrats to say, you don't make him minority or majority leader, depending on what happens in the Senate this upcoming election. So I think he's trying to just like wade himself and say, all right, cool, let's just keep calm, follow the Nancy Pelosi method. And how it is sad for like me to admit this. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have let this happen under her watch. She had more control over her caucus than Chuck Schumer ever would. I would even say, and this is kind of before my time, but want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think Harry Reid would have allowed this to happen?
Well, that's a question that people have raised, and they've said there's this nostalgia for Harry Reid, the boxer. He was a tough guy. I think he was a little more of a populist. He had this very weak, wavery voice. I don't know if you remember. He didn't come across as like enforcer type. No, he did not. But he did stand firm on certain principles, especially Social Security. He stood up to Obama when Obama was talking about the grand bargain. I called it the grand betrayal, where they were going to reduce cut back on how much Social Security would go up. Harry Reid was very strong on that one. You just don't know. I mean, different times. I will say, I thought Nancy Pelosi, she held that caucus together much stronger than, for example, Hakeem Jeffries has. And I think they were more confrontational. She was, to a degree. Schumer's we have two bad leaders. Let's face it. Schumer and Jeffries, they're there because they're fundraisers. They're there because they're Wall Street, not because they have the interests of their constituents at heart. And it's very sad. It's very, very unfortunate.
I guess I'll give Hakeem Jeffries a little bit of flowers here. He's good at just maintaining the lack of opposition to him within the House, because you don't even see the same level of opposition that came when the squad first got in office. Yes, Nancy Pelosi was very good at quashing that. I'm like, all right, cool, y'all can have your moment here or there. You're done. I don't think Hakeem Jeffries has ever had a moment where really the former squad members really came together and was like, hey, we're gonna push back against you. But I don't know if that is any credit to Hakeem Jeffries, or is that just credit to the squad not being a thing?
I think it's a huge discredit to the squad. I think it really tells you that those who believe, and I am so brokenhearted about this too, Carlos, so many people who I thought were leftist, who I thought were really progressive, they view the squad as allies. They don't see problems with AOC.
Wow.
And I don't see, and they're not even really a squad. They all voted. I think the fact that they all voted for Hakeem Jeffries is such an indictment of them.
It is.
And why did he get it? He was a fundraiser, basically, and he was acceptable to the billionaire class.
Yeah.
So I don't.
None of them came out. You did not see a strong, there wasn't even a hint of a thought about not doing it. And well, I guess the squad didn't do that either with Nancy Pelosi when they could have forced the vote. And I mean,
they didn't
none
force
of the squad has even had that conversation to be like, hey, the Republicans did it. Let's actually analyze why we didn't do it. Should we do it next time? Should we ever do that again? And the sad thing is I don't even see them having a connection between each other to even muster up a strong caucus or anything of their own, like the Tea Party did. And I mean, this even goes to what's her face? Ayanna Presley said as Congresswoman when she said that when Cori Bush was interviewed and said that she had a conversation with Ayanna Presley, who said, everyone at the end of the day, they vote is their vote by themselves. Yeah. We're not a group. It is on you, and you got to vote by yourself. And if you look at it that way, there is no squad. I mean, the one thing I'll give to the Tea Party, they knew we're a group.
You got to stand together. Yeah. I understand the point. Sometimes maybe you break with the squad a little bit, but you also say, hey, I'll work with you. You work with me. Maybe this issue isn't as important to your district as it is to mine, but together we'll get something done. So I have huge problems with what Presley said to the extent she really said that. I don't think that's Cori Bush's sentiment either. I don't think she agreed with Presley. Presley's been one of the least, by the way, progressive members of that squad. I think Cori Bush and Rashida Tlaib have been the two farthest to left. And of course, Bush is gone. Summer Lee, I've been impressed with as well on some issues.
With who?
But she's a little less outspoken.
With who?
Summer Lee from Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania.
Ilhan Omar too has been she's good on foreign policy things.
They're all better than the others. They're better than the others.
None of them are like consistent. None of them are consistent to like, other issues, it's like always like, okay, everyone has their like one niche thing. The only person I can say to me doesn't have a niche thing is AOC. She doesn't have one thing where like, oh, we know she's going to stand on this firm 10 toes down. She, to me, is a Nancy Pelosi-esque person of, I got in, I'm really rowdy, I'm going to slowly come back, and I'm going to look at my political trajectory. The only thing I'll say this, if she ever was speaker, which I don't think they would ever let her be, because I think they still remember the AOC who protested and got rid of Joe Crowley. But I can't see her being Nancy Pelosi strong and like running a caucus. I can't see her shutting up people who need to be stopped. She can't even say that, you know what, I may challenge Chuck Schumer.
She's been an incredible disappointment. Extraordinary. I would say of the squad members, current and former, I think Cori Bush, again, was pretty consistent. She was very good. I think some don't know this, on the environment. She was really strong on climate change, climate crisis. So that was a big issue. She was very strong on the Palestinian question, which, by the way, AOC is not.
No, horrible.
MTG is stronger than, MTG is pretty strong, but she's definitely stronger than AOC is. Yeah. So Cori Bush, I wish her well. She's running next year for her old seat against Wes Bell, the Zionist installed AIPAC puppet, who by the way, we saw those videos, right, of him beating up his thugs beating people up at the town hall. All right, let's get to go ahead.
Kyle,
sure.
Do you think she has a chance to actually win?
I do. I hope I give it to her. I guess it depends on her district, right? They know her.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, if you were unseated, if you can get that back with people to say, "Oh, okay, let's vote for her now," or is it going to be, and we picked this other guy? I mean,
Donald Trump, who was defeated, right? And then
there you go.
Back. So
always a chance to come back. But go ahead, Al.
So yeah, I think it can happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe her district doesn't care that much about Gaza's. I think they might, or I hope they will. Maybe they're, it's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's a poor area in St. Louis, which is a poor city. A lot of crime problems there. If things have gotten better under, Bell, while Bell's been Congress member, or people don't feel like it's gotten worse, that may defeat her. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I don't know anyone from that area. I'm not familiar with it. So I
don't know if AIPAC, and if ringing the alarm about AIPAC is going to be that influential to people. If people are going to say, okay, and so what?
Well, one thing that really gives me a lot of heart, Carlos, I'll put this up here, is, and we had talked about this before the New York mayoral race, is that Zoran had underperformed with the black vote in New York City during the primary, which the black voters had preferred Cuomo. And what gives me a lot of heart is that they flipped. They came around to Zoran. And when he spoke to them and they got to know him, they said, wait a second, these policies are better for us. He'll be a better mayor. That makes me think that the same could well happen in St. Louis.
Okay.
But we'll see.
I give you that. And I want to see that too, because I've been torn of thinking, did the older black generation come around, or is it that vote blue no matter who mentality of, no, I'm voting for Zoran because he's a Democratic nominee, whether I agree with him or not, he's the nominee.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's that thought, right? Is that there's a D. There's the D, so I'm going to vote for him, maybe.
Also, real quick, can I say this, because I've always had this thought. The Democratic Party has a weird thing of like taking losers and just promoting them to other things. What's his name? Andrew Gillum.
You're seeing the screen, right? Yeah. It's not just Gillum. Didn't Bakari Sellers ran for something too in South Carolina, I believe.
Yeah. What is with the Democratic Party's thing of like, if you're a loser, we want to promote you to other things? The way I see the Republican Party is, if you're a loser outside of Trump, you're kind of banished as like, you're a loser, you can't do this anymore. But we give these like losers cushy jobs and make them like people should care. Case in point, Jamie Harrison lost a historic loss to Lindsey Graham, who everyone thought he was going to beat him, raised the most amount of money ever of a Senate candidate. And then they promote him to being the head of the DNC because he knows how to win against Republicans.
Here's the thing. Here's my thought. These guys have lost races, right?
Yeah.
They may not have a family fortune to fall back on. Black people tend to have less money, sadly, tragically, as a result of racism. Mm-hmm. You can see the pictures of two of them on the screen there, the Native Land podcast, which is, by the way, very centrist, very establishment. Angela Rye, Democratic consultant. So it's disappointing, but they're grateful. They appreciate the handout. They're like, yes, I am happy to do what you want me to do. I'm happy to promote the policies that make you richer as long as I get a little something at the end of the day. So I think that's a big part of it. You know what's even more disappointing, since we're on this topic, Carlos? Mm-hmm. Van Jones. I thought he was a progressive at one time, and he wasn't in the Bakari sellers camp, right, where Bakari would just slam Bernie at every opportunity. No. Van Jones, I think, was a Sanders supporter.
Yeah.
And earlier
on in his life in college, he was like a socialist,
he was a socialist,
pro-black, like Marxist type of person.
It's really tough to turn down that money. I mean, people just will do anything, I think, to get ahead. And that is it's so disappointing. It really is. It's sad. All right, let's play the clip here. Here's Kamala. And you can say more about this, but I do want to just play a little bit of this and see what your thoughts are.
And this is not a moment to be passive or to say, wake me up when it's over.
By the way, this is the Kamala book tour. She's being interviewed by, again, Democrat consultant, media personality Angela Rye. That book tour apparently is doing incredibly well. She's moving a lot of books, Carlos, which surprises me because I've never bought a politician's book except Jimmy Carter's when I was 13. I would never buy this book at all, and it's gotten terrible reviews, and yet people are lining up for it.
Yeah, people. It's her clout and name recognition, and it's still people who are saying like, "I wish she was the president instead." So let me buy the book. It's like this blind just support of these people that when you really scratch the surface, it's surface level only. That they just like it's either the support of her because she was the first Black woman nominee, all that she gets like just installed support. Other people who are anti-Trump people, they're going to support her book. Again, these are the same people who, when the election started and people were saying that Joe Biden should step down, you had a lot of people. I remember talking to people in Charles County who were like, I don't think Kamala Harris can beat Trump. I don't think she can do it. But then the moment Joe Biden stepped down and it became her, oh no, she's going to win. So these are people who are going to vote whoever the Democratic Party told them to support, they're going to support. And they're reading her book because that's what they were told to go do.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. We were talking again about that Native Land podcast and some of the folks who lose elections. Jamie Harrison, you mentioned, Gillum, Bakari Sellers. I wanted to just get back to Andrew Gillum for a second because he's part of this Native Land podcast. He's gone very centrist, very establishment. He was also kind of a leftist. He was kind of a populist. He ran for governor in Florida. He was the more progressive option several years ago. So I was disappointed to learn that he had joined that crew because, as I say about the rotten apple barrel, if you take a bright, shiny apple and you put it in a worm-ridden barrel, it's very unlikely the other apples are going to all get nice and clean and shiny. They're going to get rotten too. So I was disappointed to see that Gillum went along with that. But you look for a gig, you take what you can get, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, let's play some more. Here's Kamala.
We have too much to do. We have too much to do.
A lot of hecklers. She's getting a lot of heckling.
I'm glad.
And she doesn't usually handle it well. I guess she went to training school on how to handle it better here. She doesn't react. Like, remember before she says, sit down, it's mine. No, she said,
I'm speaking.
You want Trump, right? Do you want Trump? Right. That was I'm speaking. Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
You know, we do have too much to do. And one of the things that I was thinking about is how you felt the next day. So we'll get to that.
You know what? Hold on. Let me. I'm sure there are other people here that may want to get up, and so let me. And I get that. I would not exist if it weren't people who were active in protesting injustice. So I understand that.
Did you, I guess she's saying as a mixed race, Jamaican Indian.
I think it's that. I think it's also trying to like call herself progressive of like I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for like, well, one, I'm standing on the backs of like civil rights leaders and all those other people, but also like I'm a progressive person. So like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the protests, because like I support these type of protests and these type of actions and all that. And I'm part of you all too. And it's like, no, you're not. You were the top cop. You ran against an attorney general who was more progressive than you were.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, unfortunately.
I actually write about the issue of what has been happening in Gaza in my book. And I will tell you, a lot of
sorry about that, folks.
what this process has been for me has been about reflection. Look, we should have done more as an administration. We should have done more. We should have spoken publicly about our criticism of the way that Netanyahu and his government were executing this war. We had more levers in terms of leverage that we did not use. And I write about this in the book. I look at this moment and I am happy that there is a ceasefire. We will see how long it lasts, that the hostages have been returned. But let's be very clear that the inhuman nature of what has happened to the Palestinian people in Gaza, the innocent civilians, the extent of hunger, famine, suffering, death, is something that we must acknowledge. And I recognize that. I write about in the book, I gave a speech 5 months into the war at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday. And I spoke publicly, the highest official in the country.
I mean, even when she's sort of trying to cop to a mistake, she's kind of, patting herself on the back at the same time, which I think detracts very significantly from any, acknowledgement. But let me play just a little more, Carlos, and get your full response, because she speaks slowly. There's a lot of pauses, so unfortunately. Yeah, I mean,
about the starvation that was happening in Gaza. In fact, I also write in the book about how there were plenty of folks in the White House that were not happy about me speaking out that way. But I did. So I understand the feeling and the emotion behind the folks who have spoken out tonight. We have work to do. We need to ensure, and I also have noticed how this administration not only gave a blank check to Netanyahu for the first 9 months, but also have shown no commitment to the day after in terms of the security of the people of that region, but in particular, the need for governance of Gaza, rebuilding of Gaza, changing.
I'll stop it there because it's just going to continue, but your thoughts, and does this make you think, well, gee, maybe we should have supported her when she ran?
Not at all. It's like, I'm gonna give a analogy here. It's almost like a murderer talking about how like reflecting after all the murders are done and they get caught, then they say, wow, you know what, maybe I could have let some people go and not murdered them. Maybe, maybe we could have done more, and I should have done more, less killing. It's like, okay, but you did it. Like it's not like it didn't happen. And then for her to criticize Trump, I look at it like, well, you're a co-conspirator in this. You weren't going to do anything different than what Trump is doing. And honestly, I don't know if, to my opinion, what she would have done would have been worse, because for you to say flowery things about Gaza, of like how, no, what's happening to them is wrong, but still doing the wrong thing and still funding the genocide, I take that as worse. Then at least Trump will let you know, I don't care about the Palestinians. So he's what did Malcolm X say? He is the wolf that will show his teeth to let you know he's going to bite you. Whereas Harris in the Democratic Party is more the fox. They're going to smile in your face, but they're going to bite you in the end. It's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not moved by this. I remember what she spoke at the Edward Pettus Bridge. I didn't think it was, or Edmund Pettus. I didn't think it was that impressive in the moment. Yeah. I don't remember the exact words. I know during the campaign, she always centered the hostages first. She never spoke of the Palestinian people whatsoever. So no, I'm not moved by this. One thing she said that really struck me was how she criticizes Trump, rightly so. I mean, of course, there's plenty to criticize about Trump, rightly so, for not having any plan for the day after, but neither did Biden Harris. And I asked this, by the way, that very question to Jamie Raskin, because Raskin was mocking Trump's plan for, Mar-a-Lago on the Mediterranean, which is a horrible idea, obviously. Yeah. But I said, well, what's your plan? You don't like his plan. What do you propose differently? And he didn't know what to say. He had no answer.
Yeah, because they don't know.
The answer should be, well, we'll send in an international force. We'll push the Israelis back into Israel. We'll create a new country where the people have self-determination and secure borders. That's the right answer. Of course, he would never say that because that's not what his financiers, backers, and his party want. So, I don't. So, okay.
And I even kind of disagree with that. How too is I don't think we're at a point where we could have a Palestinian state and an Israeli state at the same time. I think that it's too much. Gaza has been destroyed way too much for them to ever be able to turn that into a country. I think that the West Bank has been too taken apart and annexed to ever be its own country. I am getting more and more every day on the side of having a one-state solution, because I think you can't. How can you create a system where any Palestinian will have self-determination if they don't even control their own infrastructure or what goes on, and then in their area, it will take decades to rebuild that?
Carlos, I believe you are correct. I support a one-state solution, but Raskin talks about a two-state solution. Yeah. So if his solution is that they're going to be two countries, then fine. Create those two countries. Send the military in, rebuild Gaza for the Gazan people. You may force Israel to scourge billions and billions and billions of dollars. Don't give them another penny. That should be your day after plan. But he doesn't even have. There was none. There was no voice. It's just all it is exactly what we're seeing from Harris, although there she did acknowledge, I guess we should have done more. But mostly it's just how bad Trump is, and we're better than Trump. So, honestly, they have not learned the lessons. They have not learned. Honestly,
I think if Trump never became president in 2024, I think that you would have seen the Democrat plan be almost the same as Trump's plan for afterwards. Is like, America's going to come in, we're going to work with international partners, and we're going to kind of rebuild it the way America wants it to be rebuilt. I think Trump's plan for Gaza is exactly what both parties want. They just don't like that it's Trump saying it.
I don't disagree. I think that's a correct analysis. Right, we're a little over the hour, but if Carlos will stick with me,
I'm here with you.
Keep him as long as I can.
I'm here as long as you need.
All right. Do we have two death cult parties, or is this one party, uniparty or duopoly? That's Is it a duopoly? I guess, yeah.
duopoly.
Monopoly. A duopoly that's a death cult. I want to play this clip. I don't know if you saw this. This has been on Signal. This guy here, you see him. He is the chief administrative officer of a blue, dark blue, sky blue, I don't know what term you want to use, Democratic county, Montgomery, where I live. Every elected is
Deep blue.
A partisan office is a Democrat. Here's the chief administrative officer, Rich Madaleno, on how to address the budget crisis created by Trump's slashing government jobs.
I would remind people we have some of the wealthiest people in the world who live in Montgomery County. So we have people who are doing better than ever. The federal government, through the one big bill, put in tens of millions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars into defense and security. While we are very proud of the life sciences in Montgomery County, we should not overlook what is often called the death sciences that make up the Washington area through the Pentagon. That is tens of billions of additional money that are flowing through businesses that are located in our community.
All right, so he says, yeah, while the Gaza is being killed, and it sort of jumped off. I was hoping to get that on at the very end. Let me see if I can get that screen that Hassan. And by the way, thank you, Hassan, for putting this together. Really appreciate it. I was thinking he might join us, and maybe we'll have him another time. But yeah, he brags, they brag. Madaleno brags about death sciences, while Gaza, well, it doesn't is being eradicated, is being eliminated. And I think that just is a pure banality of evil. This is a accountant, a bean counter, who's saying, hey, let's make money from the death sciences, from the drones and the bombs and the machine guns. Not let's find a better way. It's again very, very distressing. I don't. It kind of makes me hopeless, Carlos.
So I'm trying to wrap my own mind around it. Is he basically saying that, since Trump is funding so much war, we need to start profiting off of war? like we need to just beef up weapon industries and war so that we can be able to make money. And oh my gosh,
he was also trying, it was sort of an event, this was November 3rd, to try to talk to folks looking for work, people who maybe had lost jobs, or how we can build both to potential employees. Hey, this is a place for you to look, the defense industry, the death sciences, and also to the county. Let's try to attract more weapons manufacturing into our county. Let's work with Israel, for example, the Maryland Israel Development Center, which gets some money. Let's figure out ways to beef up our county's investment in weapons.
That is disgusting. It
really is.
Yeah, we're literally profiting off of the killing, murder, genocide of other people. And my thing is, what does that make us in the end? It's like we're taking blood money. What does that mean for us and who we are as a society? We don't hear people saying, okay, we're going to beef up aid and we're going to make money off of like developing aid and developing technology and things like that. No, my thing is, I think actually what he's saying is how you're going to see a lot of counties move. A lot of counties are moving towards that. And the ones that aren't are investing in data centers. And that's how we are. I think as Maryland continues to move, you will see the funding, the way that they try to handle this budget shortfall is going to be either weapons or AI, and just say we're going to just become one of those. We're going to become like Northern Virginia, where you have a lot of defense contractors and you got a lot of AI generation or data centers. Yeah,
it just makes us guilty, makes us more and more complicit. And by the way, more and more of the world and the rest of the country will hate us. I get back to that term death cult because it does seem like both parties have really embraced death. And here's the NAACP responding to the shutdown deal the Democrats brokered, where they gave everything. And NAACP, I've had my problems with that organization, but I think they nail it here. This deal betrays the American people. who will lose health care. And they do talk about hungry children, medical bills. People will die is the basic implication and the truth of that deal. So I guess, is there just this commitment now from lawmakers, regardless of which political party, to embrace policies that will lead to death, that will lead to misery, so long as they also lead to more money for the lawmaker, maybe the lawmaker's district, and they can benefit from it?
Yeah, they're banking on the fact that people don't care where the money comes from as long as the money shows up. And I mean, you even look at the government shutdown where people's health care is going to go up and things like that. But I also look at this as like, we kind of created the same problems that we're in. We have an issue when it comes to healthcare. The answer to that, the party did not say let's create universal healthcare. They say let's create subsidies where we just are going to fund these private insurances and just give them enough money that they just allow people to have a lower bill. My thing is that's not a sustainable model of it. And the problem is you have Republicans who have no healthcare alternative. They're making the bad faith claim that, oh, well, undocumented people are using it. It's hard for the Democrats to really make any other case other than like, we just need to provide the subsidy so that people's health insurance is lower. Well, does that mean that this is just a subsidy that we're always going to do? We're just always going to bail out the insurance companies. And what's stopping them from just continually to raise their prices? So we have to raise the amount of subsidies that we give them anyway. Like, why is there? And there's no push. I believe the fight for universal healthcare is not at this point. You don't hear people talk about it, anything.
It's over. And also, that's why I find it so ironic when you hear some leftists say, I heard a guy from the New Republic, I think his name was Osita, I forget the last name, with Brianna Joy Gray. And she was like, I don't know if you remember watching that video, but he was talking about, oh yeah, we're making progress and people are talking about universal health care. And her mouth was like, he was like, what? Where have you been? No, it's just the opposite. We're falling behind. And another area where it's even clearer is on the environment. Nobody even talks about the climate catastrophe, even though it continues to get worse and worse. So again, there it is, duopoly death call. That was my thumbnail. I think it kind of makes the point you have there. Don't overlook the death sciences. I will ensure America has the most lethal force in the world. And then also, Trump is such a huge part of that. I mean, I don't want it to just be about the Democrats. It is clearly a duopoly. He's killing fish. They were drug dealers. Yeah, they're going out with a fishing pole and a little dinghy.
How? Don't you realize that we are drugging the fish, and that's the problem?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
the fish are becoming addicts.
Yeah. Before we close, because it's a free for all, I just one more point. I have struggled, and I know both of us come out of the same kind of organizing milieu of late. There's people even who are as critical as we are, who sound as critical as we are of the Democratic Party, but they can't see past it. They're like, well, they're the ones we have to work with, and there's some good ones, and I that's like I'm dropping my jaw, like Brianna. That may be true, but that's not that hasn't worked. It's made things worse.
Yeah. So
where do we go, Carlos?
I'm in the same boat as you and Brianna Joy Gray. I don't know, because it's even
if you were in that boat with me and Brianna Joy Gray, if I were you, I'd push me off the boat.
No, how we need more people to row so we can row away and don't get shot up by the military,
or fall in with the sharks, right? That's the other.
So here's my thing though. It's like, even when I talk to people about the whole No Kings protest things and my criticism of that, it is even people admit, yes, the No Kings protest is an issue because they don't have any demands. There's nothing there. But then you get this like almost pressure valve release that like happens where people say like, well, it was just good that so many people are like out together to say that they're against Kings. It's like, well, hold up. This is just one person though. They're not saying we're against the system that has enabled them to be there. I just think that and I have to listen to a podcast soon about how what happened in those other countries that have these like revolutions, and it's like, look at France. For all the criticism that people have of France as a country, the people of France believe in having a revolution. They believe in pushing back against people, and they do not believe that they have to always pick the lesser of two options. For some reason, in the United States, I think they have conditioned people enough that you only have to choose from the lesser of two options, but the corporate rule will always reign. And I think you need people who are comfortable enough to say, I am willing to take some suffering from course correcting to build up another party, to build up another institution or something that can combat this. Because you're right, Hal, we don't have an opposition party. We have a duopoly of two corporate back parties who are just different enough to give the illusion of actually having a choice.
Yeah, before we go, I just want to circle back to where we started, which was the call, was your podcast with Michaela Wilkes. And the final point that really touched me about it is, you and I talk, right? And I mean, you're black, I'm white, but you're not from like a disadvantaged background at all, right? I mean, I don't want to give anything away. I'm not like you're rich, but you're comfortable. Middle class,
You're
from secure. Yeah. Michaela has struggled in her life. She's had, and she doesn't have friends in government. She doesn't have allies. And it's got to be so painful. And you want to believe that somebody who looks kind of like you, I mean, they don't look, I mean, everyone, we all look different, but sort of the same skin color, what have you, who says they're on your side really is, and they're not. And this is so awful. And this is what so many Americans go through. And I think it's the same for white people. White people say, well, look, Trump looks like me. JD Vance looks like me, but I'm out of a job. I'm on SNAP. They don't give a fat rat's butt about me. They say they'll have tariffs that'll bring jobs back, but those jobs aren't coming back right now. And my prices just keep going up. They don't care. So this is the America we've created, where if you're poor, you're struggling, especially if you're black, but not only if you're black, not only if you're a minority, but you don't have enough. It's just wrong. It's cruel. That's how life is for people. And I can empathize. I can't live that. And it's incredibly upsetting to me.
Yeah. It's that we have been left with nothing but representation as a form of like how you can justify what's going on. And the problem is the representation, and I can't speak for the black community. I can speak for myself as a black person. Our representation has for years sold themselves to us as it's just a benefit of me being there, whether I'm doing a good job, whether I'm representing you, whether I'm helping you. Me being there is a positive thing. And we're seeing more black people day in, day out feeling as if you just being there does not serve me any interest. I am not better as a person. My living standards are not better just because, the governor looks like me, the president looks like me, my congressperson looks like me. Because even I was having a conversation with people on social media, and they were talking because one of my first videos out with Hurry Haggood was talking about how Elijah Cummings has this project to where before he died, he was basically taking investments from Israel to basically co-opt black people into black students into being supportive of the Zionist project. And people were like, oh no, but look at the history of Elijah Cummings and what he's done. That could be fine and dandy of what that man did all those years ago. Look at what he's doing now. And his representation as a civil rights leader isn't helping anything at all. He was furthering a Zionist project. And the problem is the representation only goes so far. It's only skin deep.
Well, and this is true. I totally get where you're coming from. I think that's true on the white side too, because you look at a JD Vance. So hillbilly elegy. I'm a hillbilly. I'm from the hills. I didn't come from some wealthy family. I think he wasn't really that poor. No. He wasn't, coal miner's daughter, right? It wasn't the same. I think his family was educated and all that, but but he
And
presented
talks bad
himself,
about
right?
uneducated people. I've heard people talk about his book of like some of it also like kind of makes the people of Appalachia seem like they're like real dumb and stupid.
Oh
It's like
yeah, it's very condescending. It is. He speaks low. He speaks ill of those folks. They got to move on. They got to come into the 21st century, whatever. Not like, hey, they have their own culture and it's a good side and bad like all other cultures. No, he's very much, arrogant about it, and it's unfortunate. Because he also tried to present himself as, well, I'm from you, I'm one of you, I'll represent you. But he didn't. He doesn't. And I don't know how we move past that. I actually do, because if you look at a guy like Bernie Sanders from Brooklyn with a heavy accent and all that, he goes down to Appalachia and he fills an auditorium when he talks about healthcare. If we could just talk about policy, we can win. But
if we had more Bernie, and as someone as both of us who are people who criticize Bernie Sanders, if we had more Bernie Sanders, we'd be in a better place. But the problem is now, I don't even see who the next generation of Bernie Sanders are. Like Graham Plattner's great and all that. I don't know if he's going to fill the shoes of a Bernie Sanders type. I don't know if Zorhan's going to fill the shoes of a Bernie Sanders type, because even for all the criticism of Bernie, at the end of the day, he's still an independent outside of the Democratic Party. So he has a little bit more freedom than they do.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to just end this then by throwing shade on Obama, because I'm still, first of all, because when he first was elected, he could have moved things to the left. He got rid of all of the support he had, his team. He got rid of the pressure. And then in 2016, he could have gotten Bernie elected. Yeah. He really could have. He could have said, because he never liked Hillary anyway. It wasn't like he liked Hillary.
No.
And instead he, was out there putting Bernie down. And so maybe he's the wrong person, but I pick him because he's the most popular Democrat in the country. He still is.
Obama
he has a lot of pull. And
no, you're right. Obama was he was one of those like key moments in history that we are going to look back on at one point and said he was the peak of when the roller coaster started tipping down. To me, Obama could have ushered in like a new FDR type of vision. You had honestly one of the first times you had a multi-racial, multi-ethnic working class group of people come together to put him in. Even some of these like hardcore, what we would call now racist Trump voters who voted for him were like, this man's going to bring in change. If he would have delivered on that change, I think we would be in a totally different country right now. Obama does hold a lot of criticism, and I hope as time goes on, the history books look at him as unfavorably as he is.
That's going to do it. Carlos, thanks so much. Left-handed leftist Carlos Childs. He'll be back soon. I'm going to talk to him off air in just a moment about his next appearance on the program. Everyone else, thanks so much for being part of Halitics, and have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you. Always glad to be here, Hal.